Hey everybody, how's it going? So today I wanted to cover something that is just the obvious no shit Sherlock piece of news here. It says the federal effort to save mid-sized firms isn't working, and here's why. So this is a program that was funded to about $75 billion, and over the past like 6-8 months here has pretty much put out $6 billion of the $75 billion. Now, if you were to ask the average small business owner in the United States, do you think that we are financially so strong that if there's a program that comes out to help small businesses, it should only be utilized to 8% of its overall capacity because we're so financially strong? They would laugh at you. They may throw something at you. They may punch you, and I honestly wouldn't blame them because that's a ridiculous question. This is a horrible program, I believe, for several reasons. Before I even get into the ins and the outs of the program, I think it's important to address the elephant in the room, which is that this is a loan program. So let's just first discuss why this being a loan program is a complete pile of horseshit. So the government is going to say, you need to shut down your business, which means you're not allowed to make money. Or if they consider you essential, I hate that word. I hate the idea of being able to arbitrarily decide who is and isn't allowed to make money. Let's say that your business is one of the ones that's essential, and they shut down all of the non-essential businesses that are the customers of your essential business. So the government is essentially mandating that you're not allowed to make money, while simultaneously still enforcing the contracts as to, you having to pay all the expenses that you have to pay as a business. So the government is going to say, you're not allowed to make money, but you would still need to pay for X and Y and Z. In exchange for that, here's a loan. Not a grant. Here's not a we're driving an on-fire buffet into your house, so we're going to pay to rebuild your house since we destroyed your house. We are going to destroy your house and set it on fire. Here's a loan for the renovations and reconstruction. That's fucked up. I mean, that's fucked up. If I borrow my friend's laptop and I spill water on it and I destroy it, I don't give him a loan to buy a new laptop. I buy him a new laptop because I destroyed his laptop. And the fact that this is a loan program is it's fundamentally disgusting to me. Because, again, they're saying you're not allowed to make money. We totally destroyed your ability to make money. Here's a loan. Now, how are you going to pay that back? I don't know. Not my problem. I don't got to figure that out. You got to figure it out because I'm the government, motherfucker. No, that's horseshit. With the Paycheck Protection Program, which was considerably more used than this program was, they allowed the loan to become a grant if you used it to retain your employees, not cut their pay and not cut your staff. So the government said, okay, listen, we're screwing up your ability to make money. We're destroying your ability. Even if you're allowed to stay open and make money, we're going to destroy the businesses of all of the people who are your customers so they can no longer afford your services. Here's some money. That's a program that I signed up for. I applied for it, and I had no guilt filing the application. Because again, A, the government is actively destroying my business, and B, my business pays what? Not in franchise tax, not in sales tax, not in income tax, not in corporate tax, over $49,000 a year in payroll tax for crap that I'm probably never going to see. Medicare doesn't help me. Social Security, by the time I'm 50, that shit's going to be gone, much less the 70 or 80 or 90 or whatever age they change it to ensure it's not insolvent. So, yeah, if the government's going to destroy my income, I have zero problem signing up for that program. That program, at the very least, said, we're destroying your ability to make income for, let's say, the next 6 months. So here's 8 weeks of payroll for you. Again, don't get me wrong. For some people, it was helpful. For some people, it was horrible. And many people just wound up not getting it because they underfunded it so that we would all kind of get pit against each other, the normal style. That at least made some semblance of sense. This program, just by virtue of the fact that it's a loan, in my opinion, is complete horseshit. If you are going to destroy someone's house, you need to pay to fix their house. You don't give them a loan. If you borrow your friend's laptop and you destroy it, you don't give him a loan. You buy him a replacement laptop. That's just the way morality works. Moving past that, if you take a look through some of the details of this program, there's a few things that go awry here. The first is that the loan is going to go through the bank. So let's say that they want the bank to underwrite it. So let's say that a bank is going to give a $10 million loan. the Fed will purchase up to 95% of the loan. So let's say that's $9.5 million. Okay, that's great, but the bank is still on the hook for $500,000. So if the bank is an underwriter and they are going to underwrite a loan for a business that is not allowed to be open, they're going to say, okay, even if the Fed is purchasing $10 million, who gives a shit if they're purchasing $9.5 million? Bank is still, let's pretend I'm the bank, I'm still on the hook for $500,000. So if I'm underwriting a loan to a business that is not allowed to open, why would I loan $500,000 of my money to a business that has no income? We have no idea when they're going to be allowed to reopen. We have no idea what the economy is going to be like when they're allowed to reopen. And again, I'm on the hook if they're not able to pay it. So many banks are probably going to say, what's the point? Okay, so you're buying 90. You're saying that we don't have 95% of the risk, but 5% of that risk when there's an almost certainty that thousands, tens of thousands of these businesses will go under and be completely and utterly destroyed before we get, years before we get to the point of having to repay the loans. What's the point? Imagine that you're walking down the street and you have someone with no clothes on, wielding a knife, who's slurring his words drunk about how he's going to stab someone, whose face is all red, his eyes are bloodshot, he seems like he's out of his mind, and someone just says, you should loan him $10,000. Like, no, that's insane. And well, he says, okay, how about this? I'll give you $9,500 of the $10,000 you loan him. Doesn't that make it better? Well, no, because that's $500 that I'm never going to get back. That's going to just, no, I'm not going to do that. That makes no sense. And this is a similar thing here. Like most of these businesses are not going to be coming back. So you're asking so you have the worst of both worlds here, where the bank is going to be doing the underwriting, and you also have to deal with all of the Fed entanglement as a result of it. One of the things I mentioned last year when I was looking to move my store, I had been in business for 8 years at that location. We made more revenue each year. We had more employees each year. Salaries are going up. Everything was doing well, and it was a profitable business. And every lending institution I went to politely told me to go screw myself, besides like one or two that had genuine like loan shark-ish conditions to them, which would have been ridiculous. So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm the most creditworthy business in the world, but if my business could not get a loan from a bank in a pre-COVID economy, if I could not make their underwriting department happy, what are the chances any average small business that's not allowed to open in a post-COVID economy is going to get through a bank's underwriting department? Virtually none of them, which is why this program is not actually getting used. I mean, it's a good thing that I wasn't able to get a loan, because if I actually had gotten the loan and had built the store to be much nicer than what it is right now and gone a little over the top with some of the ideas and how to make it, you're really investing in this place, then I would have wanted to cry when just a few months later the world fell apart. And it says here that they had good intentions because 12 years ago the Fed was seen as propping up Wall Street and telling Main Street to go F themselves. Honestly, it really kind of seems like that again, because if you wanted to actually do something that helped people, you're not going to destroy their house and then give them a loan for the renovations after you destroyed it. You're going to compensate them for the fact that they destroyed it. If you just look at something like the CARES Act, there was about $2.2 trillion in that. You do the math, 328,200,000 people in the United States. That's $6,700 per person. We're not even talking households. We could have given $6,700 per person, every man, woman, child, and baby in the United States, $6,700. Now, there's a lot of, I remember talking about this with my good friend and personal trainer about we were talking about why some people go as far as they do with the conspiracies with COVID. And one of the things that I brought up is that they're being paid to. They're literally being, many people will believe something if they're paid enough to. And let's say you had an income of $100,000 or $200,000, and now you have an income of minus $200,000 because your business is out. You're out of business. You weren't able to get any money from any of the programs, but you still owe all these people money. That means that you're being paid $400,000 to now have an incentive to believe that COVID is fake and it's all made up crap. Any of these conspiracy theories you hear, I understand why people believe them. I genuinely do, because they're being paid to. They're not being paid as in someone's walking up to them and saying, here's money. What they're doing is they're taking away hundreds of thousands of dollars from millions of people in the country. And then, you're going to have an incentive to figure out, wait, okay, maybe there's a reason that's not true. And if there is any explanation as to why that's not true, you're going to grab onto it. So if we had back in April said, or even March when the shutdown started, instead of having this convoluted program for bailouts where everybody gets a one-time stimulus check of $1,200, you're not even sure if you're going to get it until a month after the lockdown start. Businesses have these programs they're rushing for that are underfunded. They're not able to know if they're even going to be able to get. What if in the beginning, absolute very beginning, you gave everybody out of that exact same budget, every man, woman, and child, no means testing, no you made this much or you made this little or you're a baby or whatever, $6,700 for every single person. You probably could have bribed them to staying home. If you said every single person in the country is going to get $6,700, we fucked up big time in how we handled the virus. We fucked up when we said don't wear masks because the reality is we just didn't have enough masks for the hospital, so we had to trick you, the fucking pleb, into believing that it's not going to do anything. Sorry about that. They just admitted we fucked up horribly, and I am truly sorry for how stupid we are as a government and that we fucked everything up. Here's $6,700. Can you just do me a goddamn favor and stay home, mask if you need to go to a grocery store, and just do everything you can to not be around people for a month? You probably would have got a lot of people to actually say yes to that. You probably would have got control of the virus a lot sooner, and you probably wouldn't be dealing with this shit that we're dealing with now 8, 9, 10 months later. The reason that you are is because when you have a shutdown that goes into place on March 20th, and you don't hear jack shit news about any type of relief that may be coming down the pike until late April, and the programs that come out in late April only cover certain sections of the population, you're going to have everybody say it's every man for themselves. Okay, so there's a shutdown. Oh, I don't give a fuck about that shutdown regulation. You know what I care about? I care about my business, or I care about my money, or I care about my career, because clearly none of you fucks care if I'm destroyed for the rest of my life. And whether or not someone is going to be destroyed for the rest of their life is something that they are going to take into account. I stayed open throughout the entire COVID pandemic. We changed things at the business. We changed how we clean things. We changed the front section a little to have a bit more distance. We had everybody wearing masks. That we had some people here that were concerned about contracting COVID and giving it to family members. I shit you not, the only confirmed case of COVID here, because there was one person who thought he got it. He wasn't able to get a test. This was back in March when you had to lie to get a test and say that you knew someone who had COVID, because you needed to know someone who got COVID to get a COVID test. But since you needed to know someone who had COVID to get a COVID test, none of the people who had COVID could get COVID tests, so no one can get a COVID test because our government sucks. When you go back to March, the one person here that had a confirmed case of COVID actually was the person staying home. He was staying home because he didn't want to give it to his family members, and his parents got COVID and gave it to him. He usually spends no time, very limited time, if any, with his parents, but since he was staying home for 8 hours a day when he used to be at work, since the few hours a day he used to spend going out or doing other crap in Brooklyn or Manhattan, he wasn't doing that anymore. He was spending the entire 14 or 16 or 18 hours of his waking life at home with his parents. He got COVID from his parents. So, literally the only, I just found that interesting. The one person here that was a confirmed case stayed home to avoid giving COVID to his parents, got COVID from his parents as a result of staying home. I stayed open throughout the entire thing, and honestly, going back, looking back at my decision now, that was in March, 9 months later, I'm happy that I made that decision, because none of how we handled COVID made a damn bit of sense to me. None of how any of this was rolled out. Like the lockdown, these people will come with a lockdown. These people are the ones that you have to go to try and get money. Oh, who are the people who care if you go broke and destitute and are never able to do business for the rest of your life? Oh, they don't exist. It's only you. So I truly understand why it is we have as many people as we do that are incentivized to believe that this whole COVID thing is a farce. I don't believe it's a farce. I have people masking at work. I know people who've gotten COVID. It sucked for them. But I understand why people are where they are, because they literally were bribed by a horrible system into finding any sort of reason to believe that what's happening is not real, because it's horrible. And these are just some basic ways. Again, this is just basic ass math that I typed into Google. You just do $2.2 trillion divided by 328 million. Man, if you tell the average person, I'll give you $6,700, you don't have to go to work this month. And you just fall on your sword and say, we fucked up tremendously. We are sorry. Here's what we're doing to fix it. You probably could have gotten to do it. Even if it's a family. So if you have a family, if you have a wife, husband, 3 kids. That's that's like over $30,000 for them for the month. They would have done it, and you could have just passed it through immediately. It wouldn't have had all these trip ups. You wouldn't have had to deal with like as much rampant fraud where you have the Paycheck Protection Program and others getting flooded where people are registering 30 businesses to one address just to collect as much money as possible while normal people get fucked. Just keep it simple and admit that, it's going to be a little bit unfair. It's going to be a little weird, but it would have gotten everything under control, in my opinion, in the absolute very beginning. You would have had much more compliance. You wouldn't have had people like losing their mind. Yes, businesses have rent and expenses and everything else. And businesses are made up of human beings. The biggest expense at most businesses is paying the human beings that work there. Even if you're paying for parts or you're paying for tools, you're paying for tools from another company, but you're paying that company to make, that company needs to pay their employees to make the tools, which is why the tools are expensive. So if you had simply universally said, here's $6,700 for every single man, woman, and child in the United States, you probably would have been able to have people work it out better amongst themselves, and you wouldn't have had the clusterfuck that you do now. And again, like this program being a failure, of course this program's going to be a fucking failure because it's a goddamn loan program after you broke something. You don't loan someone money to fix what you broke. You pay to fix what you broke. That's it for today. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. This is Blackberry over here. She's the kitty that I had in my video last night. She's incredibly cute, and she's my kitty. We have flowers over here to celebrate Blackberry the kitty being over here. Mr. Clinton is still punished, so he's not showing up over here. He broke several of the studio lights that I have here. I just replaced them so I don't look like as much of a ghoul. Some of them are still broken now. I got to replace the ones that are broken. I just got a spare that I put in there. Yeah, he knocked down a bunch of crap that he knew he wasn't supposed to knock down. He knew it. He was watching me as I did it, and the moment I went to get up from my chair, he ran away because he knew he did something wrong. So this seat over here, this is not for Clinton until he decides to apologize and learn to not do that again. This seat is for Blackberry, who's a well-behaved kitty, who has always been a good kitty, who doesn't break things, who's adorable and cute and loving and affordable because she doesn't cause me to have to buy all new lighting setups. Anyway, that's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. Blackberry. She's my kitty.